Sky Report's back after a long hiatus due to the world imploding. We got Russell Stelzer, Alex Logsden. The boys are back in town. We got our Sky Report masks, although we're not wearing them. We're being bad. But we have a very special episode. It's not a podcast, but it kind of is a podcast. Bandai decided to send us all of the new Unison cards from set 10. So we're going to take you guys through them. First, we're going to run through a quick how to use Unison cards tutorial. So let's watch that. Unison cards are the latest new card type to the Dragon Ball Super card game. All new in set 10. A couple of them in the starter decks, but these are really the ones coming out when that new set drops on July 17th. Really exciting stuff. We're looking forward to it. So we're going to give you a quick rundown of what these bad boys do, how to play them, and all about them. Only one Unison card can be played out in the field at one time per person. Just like extra cards and battle cards, Unison cards have a specified energy cost, so this one's 3 red. You have to meet those, but then you see the X up in the top left corner. That means that you can go above and beyond that initial 3 red energy you have to use, and that's going to give you more markers on this card. And what markers do, if you see these little symbols here, is they allow you to modify the amount of markers on your card. Having more markers on a card is going to let you use bigger and better effects. Some have, -5 markers, -6, -7 for some crazy effects. And other ones have -2 and +1. So you can add and remove markers, and those will let you do your effects. The effects on these things are awesome. We're going to run through them later in the video if you get a detailed rundown on where we think they're going to be useful. But once per turn, you're going to be able to modify the amount of markers on the card. So you can go +1, do the effect, awesome. Or you can do -2 and it reduces the markers. Markers are, I think, generally tracked by a dice probably. There's probably other ways you could do it, but I think dice is probably the easiest. So if you put this down for 3 red, you're going to get 3 markers. If you do the +1 effect, you'll boost that up to 4. Go ahead and use -2, brings you down to 2. And if you use -2 again on the next turn, markers go to 0. This card then goes to the drop area, just like any other battle card would. Go straight to the drop. If you have another Unison card in hand, you have 2 options. You can pay to replace the other one, so you can just put this out there, pay it in place of that one. This one goes to the drop. That's the new one. If you have another one of the exact same card out there, you can actually take it and put it under this, and it's going to gain a marker. So if this was, say, at 4 markers when you put it out, you had another one in hand, you put it right under, it goes right up to 5 markers. And you're going to get extra effects. It's going to stay on the board longer. Unison cards can attack just like regular battle cards. So you can add combo power to them. You can give them double strike. You can do all that great stuff. You swing in, do your damage just like a battle card. That's awesome. On the defensive steps, if your opponent wants to get rid of your Unison card, you cannot defend it with combos. So you can negate the attack, but you're not going to be able to defend it if it gets into attack. So they attack you. They're going to do 15,000. Say they're not going to combo. You can't defend it. So if it's a single strike, you'll go down to 2 markers. The card doesn't get destroyed like a normal battle card. It just loses a marker. If they do double strike, it would go from 3 to 1. If they used a triple strike for whatever reason, they would go from 3 to 0, and the card would be gone. So little hard to get rid of them on board if you're not messing with double strikes and stuff, but super good. You stick them, you get a lot of value. So that's kind of the basics of what Unison cards do. If you guys have any more questions, make sure to check out the Dragon Ball Super card game official website. They have the rules run down there. And if you have any specific questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll try to answer them as best we could. But let's get into all the cards. All right, now that we all know how to use the Unison cards, let's go through them one by one and see what the boys think they're going to be best in, and we'll give you a rundown of each card. So we're going to start off with the Vegito Unison of Might. This is a red Unison card, 4 red cost, with that unspecified X cost that you can go over. Let's see. First skill is activate main, +1 marker, draw 1 card, then choose up to 1 mono red battle card with an energy cost of 2 or less in your hand and play it. -2 markers, activate main until the end of your opponent's next turn. If your opponent would play a battle card using a skill, is placed in the drop area instead. And -5 markers, the big one. Activate main. If your opponent doesn't have any battle cards in play, deal 1 damage to your opponent. I like this card a lot.
I think this card is really cool. I think it has interesting implications in decks like the new Yamcha leader coming out. For those that don't know, Yamcha on its backside, if you were to deal damage with an effect to an opponent, it deals 1 more, and it only does that once a game. But obviously that could be game ending with something like this. You get deal 2 damage. Also, that -4 ability is pretty cool. It's basically says your opponent just if they don't have anything on board and you activate that ability, you basically get a free turn because your opponent just doesn't get to have a board
Yeah,
on their
the
turn.
-2. Or no, minus
-4. Or 3. The second -1. Whatever it was.
the -5.
Play a card off of an extra card.
We're already screwing this up.
Whatever.
But yeah, they can't play a battle card unless they put some in the draw.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah, that's a -2.
I was going to say that.
Come on, Russell.
My bad.
that unblockable burn is a pretty cool
Yeah.
mechanic. Like it's just kind of
I just
in the
like
game.
the +1, man. Anything that could make mono red pan come back. That's all I want. That's all I
Give me
see.
pan.
Draw.
That
for
is pretty
free.
good.
Come on.
Just draw.
It's fire.
I like
All
that.
right. I think that one's really cool. I think it's super versatile. Red decks are always super strong. Let's see. Next one is Sin Shenron, Unison of Calamity. Or Unison of Calamity, not Unicy. I'm crazy. I haven't talked in like 4 months. This is crazy.
Wild.
I've literally haven't been outside in like 4 months.
Yeah.
Definitely go to the grocery store. So sorry. All right. So permanent. Your red cards can attack your opponent's battle cards in active mode. Pretty cool. Similar to some older effects by what the old Yamcha leader does the same thing. It can attack or give leaders or cards that ability. That's pretty cool. So generic. Put it in any deck. +1 activate main. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, and they get negative 15,000 power for the duration of the turn. That's pretty cool. Get it for free. Get another marker. Then -2 markers. Activate main. Look at your opponent's hand. Choose up to 1 battle card with 25,000 power or less from their hand and discard it. What do you guys think of this card? I know you've mentioned it before, I think.
I know one of my teammates, Trey Faircloth, really likes this card because he likes the cooler deck.
Letting the secrets out, dude.
And this card just naturally fits into decks like Cooler, Beerus, even like the red Yamcha. I just think if you're running a red leader, you're probably running Sin Shenron because it does everything you want it to do. Clears boards. Handed knowledge is always extremely overpowered in this game. Just being able to look at your opponent's hand is really good, but being able to look at their hand, pick something from it, is really strong. And this guy only has a specified cost of 3, which is pretty cool because a lot of the bigger Unisons that have like 20k power have like a specified cost of 4. So you can play him a turn earlier than you can a lot of the bigger Unisons. So there's just a lot going on for this card.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was going to mention Cooler because that's the deck I've been testing also.
Ooh,
Cooler.
spicy. Where's our sound effects? Oh, there we go.
Dang.
Bring it back.
Hey.
All right. I also like the card art in this. It looks pretty sick.
I think it looks pretty good
Sin
too.
Shenron is a underused character. It's good to see them finally go in there. So pretty cool. All right, next one. Vegeta Elite Unison. It's an interesting one. This is a rare, right? Yeah. Oh, uncommon. Not even a rare. All right, so when this card attacks, add a marker to it, then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets negative 5,000 power for the turn. -1 marker, choose 1 of your red battle cards or leader cards, and it gets plus 5,000 power and can attack your opponent's battle cards in active mode for the turn.
I think that low-cost Unison cards are always pretty splashable in a lot of decks.
I think that this card is good for someone looking to build some of the decks more on a budget.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking to build like the cooler decks or anything on a budget, it comes out, it minuses cards. It lets your leader have like more utility and being able to clear battle cards. Like stuff like Crisis Crusher is going to be really big this coming meta, just because there's a lot of really impactful 1-drops. And if you're running cooler and you're running the 1-drop that you pay an energy to give -10, Crisis Crusher can hurt if you play that and they play on their turn and pop your Crisis Crusher. So if they have a Crisis Crusher on board, you can play this guy, swing over it with your leader, and then play your 1-drop safely. So it's a good budget friendly card.
Yeah, I guess these ones that are like that reduce power, like it's board wipe that's hard to get rid of. Like Crisis Crusher can't kill this card.
Yeah.
Like it could kill other ones. So you kind of put it out there and they have to attack into it to get rid of it. And
Right.
it's interesting. It's a different strategy to kind of stick stuff and keep your removal.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. We're on to blue. I think this one's really cool. So SS Go Tank's Absolute Unison Dual Attack Blocker. That's already pretty good. 20k attack, -2 markers, draw 2 cards. That's solid. It's also a 4-cost blue at minimum, so you're going to be able to do that twice before he goes away at least. Then a -3 markers. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them at the bottom of their owner's deck in any order. Anything that removes barrier is busted.
Yep.
So I know we talked about this before we filmed, Russell. What do you think this card is good in? There was a sneaky one you talked about that I didn't think of.
So there's a few decks that I think this is really good. And the first obvious one is like Vegito, just because it has dual attack, and Vegito can give it triple strike.
Ooh.
Then obviously things like SS3, because you can play this, untap energy, and be safe on your turn. And you just get to draw cards with that, which that leader doesn't do a great job of doing anyways. But a really cool leader I like playing it with is Jiren. Jiren's yellow, so a lot of times when people look at the Unisons, they associate them with the same color leader. But you can play this guy in Jiren, and it's really cool because you can tap 4 on your turn 4 and know that you're probably not going to die on your opponent's next turn just because Jiren is so beefy with his backside leader ability. And you can draw 2 cards off of it, get 2 swings in, and then on your next turn, you can, if they didn't swing into it, because he does have 20k attack, so a lot of times they'd have to attack and combo into it. You can swing 2 more times, draw 2 more cards with it, and then play another Go Tanks. Just because you're drawing so much off of him, you're probably going to draw into other ones. I think this card is one of the better ones in the set for what it does.
I was gonna say having dual attack and blocker is super good too, because you can attack into their unisons or something like that, remove markers, restand, and then pass, and still have a active blocker on board too. So I thought that part of it.
Dual attack blocker, solid
super
all the
good.
way, especially when you play it for 4 and just drawing you cards. Like
It's just plus.
busted. I mean, remember their old was it the blue or yellow Vegeta card that was the dual attack blocker back from a few sets ago. I don't know, it was a while ago, but
I'd have to see
semi-playable.
again.
But like it
I
didn't
know
draw
what
you
you're talking
2
about,
didn't
yeah.
draw you 2 cards twice.
Oh, no, not
Like,
at all.
Crazy.
And his minus-
These cards are nuts.
And his -3 is pretty good too. I mean, being able to clear 2 of any cards with barrier
Oh, it's
is
so good.
Oh, it's
just the
insane.
utility of this card is
Especially for blue too. Blue
Yeah.
doesn't have a whole ton of removal.
It doesn't have good removal.
Yeah, it has some mediocre removal.
Its
yeah.
removal is
And
more
it-
like
it-
high
it-
cost.
Yeah, it bounces
Yeah.
stuff back, and doesn't really interact with barrier unless you're playing a few, Dragon Fist or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
It's probably
All right.
that might be the best removal for blue so far.
I mean, Zeno,
Probably.
I mean,
it's still classic.
I mean,
removal,
as
but
in like
a
this
little-
meta, right?
Yeah, a
Like,
little irrelevant at the moment, but one can dream.
Zeno's basically extinct.
Don't say that.
it's gonna come back.
Don't
The
say
battle card. We're not talking about the Unison coming
Yeah.
up, but the
All
battle
right.
card.
All right, on to the next one. So we got one of the uncommon ones again. So we got Supreme Kai of Time, Unison of History. So let's bring together the history, boys. All right, so activate main once per turn. If your leader card is blue, Trunks future card, and you add 1 card from your life to your hand at the end of the turn, switch up to 1 of your mono blue energy to active mode. Second ability is +1 marker. Add 1 card in your life to your hand, then choose 1 card from your hand and place it in your life. This is an interesting one. To me, it's not obvious exactly what deck this fits in. I think it's the new Trunks, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it'd be
Yeah.
the new Trunks that reveals life, and you can play cards and all that kind of stuff.
So it has some really good synergy with that one. Could it work in the old Trunks, in the original future Trunks? Because like that deck, all it wanted to do was restand energy, play 1-drops, attack, go out really aggro. Now that you don't have unyielding Trunks, this is kind of
Well,
similar.
you already know I'm gonna try.
Yeah, I know.
This is Alex's
like it's-
favorite.
I like what they're doing with set 10 because there's a lot of like I know it's like mono the last set was all multicolor. Now we've kind of brought it back to the monocolor stuff, which is really cool because I think it's going to revive some of the older decks and bring them back in and have people experiment, which I think is really great. And I love that they're doing that to keep all the my giant wall of cards over here somewhat relevant. So I love that.
Well, I know Alex always votes for like
I know. Come
future
on.
Trunks to get rebooted, so he's definitely happy that it's getting some support, right?
That's correct.
All right, but cool card for 2-cost blue. I think it does some pretty cool stuff. Anything that manipulates energy, someone's going to find a way to do something with it.
I mean,
so.
so it's also self-awaken also,
Yeah.
and you gain
There you go.
markers on that effect, so it stays alive
Mhm.
longer. I think it has some good utility.
I think one thing I really like about this set that Bandai did is each color got a really strong like deck that goes with each of these unisons. But they came out with like a lot of these uncommons and stuff like, that you can get off of like the starter decks and expansions that really do help like budget players put together like a unique deck that runs around the unisons, but they don't have to drop a lot of cash on it. Like obviously you can drop a lot of cash and get the more expensive ones and go, be very competitive at a big tournament. But you can easily take these budget versions and go to the locals and fare very well.
The thing I'm noticing about the uncommons is that on all the super rares, you get to use one of the 3 effects per turn because they're all marker They all affect the markers.
Oh, I know what
Whereas the uncommons, the first one's just activate main, and then you can also do the marker effect. So that's pretty. So you kind of get 2 effects rather than 1 per turn. Yep. But maybe the effects aren't quite as good. So all flexibility, I think, is pretty cool.
Utility.
All right, now to one of the good ones. Here we go. We got Zeno Cosmic Unison. +2 markers. If your leader card is mono blue, place the top card of your deck in your energy. You can't place cards in your energy area for the turn. Then, at the end of the turn, place the cards you placed in your energy with this skill in the owner's drop area. That is a mouthful, but I think it's pretty good mouthful, right?
Very good mouthful.
All right, then -5. Choose all cards in your battle area, ignoring barrier, and shuffle them in your opponent's deck. A classic Zeno ability.
Yeah, I think
He never stops just putting everything back in your deck.
we have the 7
Ooh,
drop,
that boy.
we have the 5 drop, and now we have the Unison that all just
Yep.
wipe the board.
Yeah, just
Yep.
hit that button, dude.
Yeah.
Boop boop.
No, I think this card, I think one of the best things about this card is blue has access to Obuni, which I think is arguably one of, if not like the best battle cards in the game right now. Obuni just does like everything because he swings a lot. You know, not many decks can deal like with just 4 attacks, especially when you have decks like Vegex, which is like probably the boogeyman of the format. And they do really good at defending tall because they have stuff like Bibbidi that just combo to infinite. But when you attack a bunch of times with little guys, then they're forced to like dump their hand. And if they have to use a Bibbidi to combo out of like a little attack, that feels super neg. And Zeno lets you play Obuni on turn 3, which is broken. If you can play,
Seems good.
if you can play one of the best cards a turn earlier, then why not, right?
Well, the spicy thing that I ended up seeing was Tom's deck.
Uh-oh.
He posted it. And all that
Okay,
kind of stuff,
okay.
and he
You're
got a
not just
profile
leaking
stuff.
Tom's.
No,
Shout
no,
out
no.
to Tom.
It's the Vegito Candies deck that he was putting out there.
Oh, the candies.
The candies and being able to hit the candies off his effect and sometimes and all that. And
Seems
I don't know.
good.
It looks-
Seems good.
There are
Anything
a lot
free.
of cool applications with this. I know PPG posted a video earlier of a blue-green Android 21 deck because you can charge an energy off of it, and even if you hit a dual color like blue-green, it comes in rest mode. Like they were sacking it for like the Android 16 that comes out of the starter deck.
Yeah.
Because you can sack a blue-green energy, play it for free, and that's just a 15k attacker. So the premise of the deck was just spam the board with a bunch of 15k attackers. So like if you hit something that come into active off of Zeno, you could tap, play something, and then sack that 1 energy for Android 16. If you happen to hit the dual color, you can still do something with it because of the Android 16. So a lot of really cool applications with that Unison.
Pretty cool.
And board
All
wipe,
right,
board
on
wipe is
to-
always good.
On to Russell's favorite things, the green cards. I read this one earlier. I was like, ooh, I haven't read this one yet. And then this sounds great. So SS Bardock, paternal Unison. So daddy's coming home to put in work. When your opponent combos, or this is auto, when your opponent combos, you may place up to one card from their combo area in its owner's drop area. If you do, negate the skill for the rest of the turn. Pretty cool. Works on both turns.
Super
It
good.
gets rid of combo power, similar to that Broly leader that did some of that.
The 6-drop.
Yeah, the
rival
6-drop
Broly,
Broly, yeah. And then we got +1 marker. You may choose one of your green battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and KO it. If you do, your opponent chooses one card in their hand, discards it. I think there's a bunch of green cards that are 1 cost that have small effects that, just adding on the fact that it's going to make them discard a card is super solid, especially when it adds a marker. So you're not really losing anything. Then you have -3 markers. This card gets +5,000 power and triple attack for the turn. So, I mean, it's nothing but value in this card for 2 green.
2 green.
For 2 green. Like,
Yeah, this
come
card.
on.
This card's amazing. One, again, like you're gonna hear a lot about Vegex just because it's the best deck in the format. But being able to just pick the Bibbidies out of their hand, like when they try comboing with them, like if they don't get rid of this card, then their Bibbidies, they just can't use them, or else you gotta take them away. But without Bibbidi, like they can't do, like they can still swing a lot, but they can't just swing with like a double strike, throw a Bibbidi on it, and like instant 2 damage to you. And you know me, I love my hand destruction. And this card is just like pure value for hand destruction because you can play like the new 1-drop super combo Vegeta that discards a card from your opponent's hand and then sack it for this guy and make them discard another card. So that's like 2 cards for 1 energy, which is 1 energy less than the rebrand from Draft Box 5. So it's just value. And then you just, if you have like Dispose and drop, you can't bring back the super combo. But you can bring back 1-drops off of Dispo, the rare from Draft Box 5, and just keep sacking. Like, you just sack them to this guy, and every turn you're making them discard 1 to 2 cards. Depending on the leader you're playing with, you're probably making them discard more cards. So yeah, this guy is a hand control player's dream.
Super value.
Super nothing but value.
It's just what I like.
Value plays. All right, next one's pretty cool too. Golden Frieza Unison of Malice. +1 marker, draw 1 card, then choose 1 card in your hand, place it on the top of your deck, and this card gains critical. Interesting. So you don't really gain off this, but you get critical for nothing, and you get to kind of stack your deck with a card you want right back, and you get to see a new card.
Yeah,
so
hand fixing is always something I advocate for.
Yeah.
So.
And crit, like, I mean, it's green, so again...
Crit's the best keyword in the game.
Yeah.
Like,
so again,
so far, anyways.
It's true.
I think so.
So again, you can play this in hand destruction, so it's kind of like, one thing hand destruction loves to do is take your hand away and hit you with a bunch of crits.
Yeah, it's like, oh, now you get no cards.
Yeah. But one great thing about this guy, too, is his minus ability. It's basically like a topo, but for your opponent's board. So they have to sack their guys in order to attack, which again is very good against the best deck in the format because they love to attack with a bunch of dudes. So
let's read through it real quick. So -2 markers until the end of your opponent's next turn. Your opponent can't attack with battle cards unless they choose one of their battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or more and place it in the owner's drop area. The fact that it forces you to pick a 2 or higher is kind of crazy. Like, just, any of your good stuff, bye.
Yeah.
Bye. And I mean, all the good cards these days are getting cheated out pretty early. So, like, bye-bye. You got one? Good luck.
I just think of cards like this and then holding preemptive strikes and controlling their board on their turn, and then they just can't attack you.
That's what green wants to do.
Then you just come critical back at you.
I also just love green that makes them choose the cards a lot. Yeah. So it's like, you get to hurt yourself and I win.
The head games.
That's the best.
It's just one of those cards like Nimbus and Topo. Like, we already knew Nimbus and Topo are going to be really good coming into this format, and one thing that green really needed was defense. Like, green's always had like good cards here and there for their colors, but they've never really had something to like pull it all together. They couldn't really survive on their own. And Bandai really definitely gave green probably the most support in this set. Like, every green card is just like borderline broken in this set, and I love it. And green just has a lot of survivability, which we've never been able to say in the past. But green is probably one of, if not the best colors to combat Vegex going into this new format. So yeah, this card's really good.
There we go.
Just boost up green. Boosted.
All right. Next card. Green Demeter Unison of Sorcery. This one's interesting. There's a Demeter in the green color. Yeah, have we had that before? I can't think of one. Maybe there is, but
I don't think so.
I think one of the things about the Unisons that someone said is they're not supposed to be like in their normal colors. They're kind of supposed to be like opposites of like what they normally are. Like, the Meta Cooler in the Champ Packs is green, but we've seen that he's been yellow before. So Demeter's black, but now he's being printed as a green Unison. So the Unisons are kind of like...
It is interesting too, because the Bardock Secret or Mass Saiyan Secret Rare, also green.
Yeah.
That's traditionally a black card. Interesting. I wonder if they're thinking about mixing the Overrealm stuff into some other colors here. Who knows?
Maybe. I was gonna say,
cool.
What I like is that just how certain characters are locked into certain colors and stuff like that. When they change up all the colors, it lets people play more of the characters that they like to play in their
different colors. Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
Cool. All right, so let's look through the effects. Permanent. If this card would lose a marker from an opponent's attack, you may add 1 card from your life to your hand instead. So I guess it's really hard to get rid of, and it's self-awakening. So. Nothing but value. That's cool. So either they leave it there or you get to take life. That's cool. Also, we got +1 marker. This card gets plus 10,000 power for the turn. That's nice. -3 markers. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards. KO it. Then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3, ignoring barrier, and KO it. That seems pretty good for one energy card. I mean, super value. Nothing like a 1 energy or 1 cost removal. I guess it's gonna take a few turns though, because you got to get the markers up to 3.
I was gonna say, if you play it for 1, it's more like that's
you
why
you got to wait 2 turns.
That's why his effect to take a life instead of remove a marker is so strong on this card.
So it just sits there.
But like mid to late game, should you ever need like a quick removal, you can always just cast it for like 3 or 4 if you want to keep it on board. And
I'm slamming it for 8.
Yeah, there you go.
You can only use this effect once, but we're in there.
All right. On to the next one. We're into the yellow cards. SS Broly Legendary Unison. This is a 15K, 2-cost yellow minimum, plus 0 markers, so no change. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and switch it to rest mode. That's cool. -1 marker, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards of an energy cost of 5 or less in rest mode and KO it. So it's kind of like some of the Broly leader effects and card effects we've seen in the past, but built into a more generic, kind of just generically good playable card, which is cool. So no more relying on the leader effect to tap guys. You just put this guy out, and for nothing, it taps it, ignores barrier, and then you can pop a 5. That's cool.
I was going to say, then it triggers the draft box with the not Bergamo.
Yeah, the Bergamo, the 5-drop Bergamo.
Yeah, it triggers those and stuff like that. Triggers a bunch of stuff like that.
And again, this is another uncommon card. It like compared to the SRs, it's not as strong, but if you want to look more for like budget players, this is a great card to look into. Because if you want to go like budget blue yellow, you have like Zamasu super combo and this guy and like the blue yellow Bojack. So between like those 3 cards, you can just kind of like tap down your opponent's field and like clear a way to like put pressure on them. So you're going more of like a aggro-ish route, and you want to be budget friendly, this is definitely a good leader to look into.
I was going to say, one thing to note is that neither of us affect add markers, so you have to cast him and then just work with as many markers as you have on the card.
Yeah.
So that's worth remembering.
All right, on to the next. SS Gogeta Dynamic Unison. This is the best one. This is the card.
This is the card I like a lot.
All right. It's a 2-cost, which is, I mean, I feel like just the required 2 is so low for some of this stuff.
Low.
But 15K, and its permanent is if all of your energy is in rest mode, your mono yellow leader card gets plus 5,000 power for the turn. That's pretty cool. Extra defense or offense. Once per turn, when your opponent activates, this is an auto. Once per turn, when your opponent activates an extra card, add a marker to this card. That's good. +1 marker. You may choose 2 yellow cards in your hand. Discard them if you do draw 2 cards. Also good. -4 markers. During your opponent's next charge phase, your opponent may choose, or your opponent can only switch up to 2 energy to active mode. Oh, what?
Personally, yeah. This is my favorite Unison. Personally, out of all of them, stuff like that.
I mean, it's good.
I just mean it has so much utility to it. I love the hand fixing about it. I love the being able to add markers on anytime your opponent negates anything like that. You're just constantly adding more markers to this card. Being able to lock your opponent down, you can go into turn 5 and go, okay, you only get 2 energy, and I'm going to crack back at 6 energy on you. That usually leads to a lot of wins. I think being able to negate, tap your energy out, go up, being your leader. I don't know. I think that this card...
I think it's a great card for yellow. This is a super yellow card.
It's definitely... I think
So
it fits best in the new Gotenks leader, because Gotenks, for one, already has the built-in auto where once per turn, if your opponent activates an extra card, you get to draw a card. And I believe on the backside, you get to draw a card and tap down something of your opponents when they play an extra card. And if you have this guy on board, then you get to add a marker to him. So it's just... It's one of those things where if your opponent's playing a lot of extra cards, you just get so much value every time they use one. And yeah, like you said, the hand fixing is really, really good. You draw 2 off of this, pitch a Sane Instincts, and then tap 2 energy, draw 2 more cards. You can just go through your deck really fast because of this card.
I just personally, I love this card. So.
Card art's cool. He's just punching the ceiling.
And the art's gorgeous.
All right, I know this one stirred the pot a little bit when it first was announced.
This is my favorite yellow.
Is it? All right, I'm going to butcher this name, I think. Meki Kabura?
I think it's Mecha.
No, you said it right.
Meki?
Is it Mecha Kabura?
Mecha Kabura, maybe. I like Meki.
I don't think, I say Meki.
Meki.
Yeah.
Whichever.
Call him my dude Meki.
Meki's a little more like friendly, you know?
More fun, dude.
That's my homie right there. What's up, Meki?
Yeah, that's my dude. Meki Plotting Revival. Doesn't have the word Unison in the name. Interesting.
I actually have not been paying attention to the...
Every single one, I think, has had Unison in the name. But let's see. This one's a blocker. It's 4-cost yellow, 15K. It's got blocker. When this auto, once per turn, when this card loses markers due to an opponent's attack, choose up to one of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. That's pretty cool. Super hard to get rid of. Messes with their board.
And it has blocker.
Oh, so yeah. Just give me those markers.
Yeah, so you get to block.
All right. +1 marker. Draw 1 card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier. And that card can't be switched to active mode until the end of your opponent's next turn. Seems good. -4 markers. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, gain control of it, and switch it to active mode. I love that phrase.
So good.
Those are my favorite.
So good. No, this card is my favorite yellow Unison just because one of my favorite decks going into this set is Sin Shenron, which is a new archetype coming out. And it's an archetype that focuses on like just building a board of like blockers. And it's kind of like apes back in the day where you swing with them and then Planet Vegeta untaps them. Like you swing with them and then the Sin Shenron leader untaps them. And this card, it just like, it locks down your opponent. And like Mecha Apes, one thing it was really good at doing is like putting out blockers, and then because there's like cards like Nimbus, you just pretty much got to say to your opponent like, I get to control what you do on your turn and you're not touching my life. And this card just does that. Like it's a blocker. You know, you can block, stop an attack, then tap something down, and then proc something like Bergamo, tap down two of anything else that you want to tap down, along with cards like the Zamasu Super Combo, Bojack. There's just a lot of like good interactions with this card, and then the free SS4 Vegeta counterplay for yellow that comes down and taps another card, and it's also a blocker. You can just like shut your opponent. You can just hardcore shut your opponent down with this card.
That's all Russell wants to do in this game.
Yeah,
and I hate it.
It's just free value. Like every turn you get to draw a card, and it also taps with that ability. There's just so much tapping that happens with this card. And then the big one, obviously, it tells your opponent if you're focusing on like dropping bombs that don't have barrier,
I'm getting it.
if you're not gonna kill me with it, I'm taking it.
Yes.
If you're and especially because the 9-drop since Shenron is a built-in bloodless, anytime your opponent plays a battle card, it negates its effects.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's on the board, you basically can't drop your secret rares because I'm just gonna negate it and then steal it with this card. So it's just like the perfect combination.
Play that black smoke.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it.
Now, does that Sin Shenron Bloodlust ability get around Deflect? Because
Yes,
it's an effect?
because it's not a counterplay.
Okay, yeah,
doesn't-
there we go.
It doesn't stop on play effects.
Yeah. So it doesn't
okay.
stop autos.
Yeah,
Because it's
it's
like
just skilled when it wipes it when it hits the board.
yeah. So if it has activate mains or
Those go
double
away.
strike, all that stuff, it
Seems
stops
pretty
it.
cool. I mean, anything that says gain control of it, I love those cards.
Yeah.
It's not those haven't been traditionally like the best effects. The Ginyu card was pretty solid, but they've always been restricted by power or.
Toa had a few
Yeah, but
that
it was-
weren't
it
like
was-
super crazy, but they were really good in the mirror match.
They're also
Yeah.
pretty expensive to steal cards. Some of the newer ones weren't, but the older ones were like 6 energy to steal a 4 cost.
Toa,
and it's
you're
like,
only paying like one for
That's true.
one and
He's
none for
thinking-
the other.
he's
I'm thinking the older
You're thinking
ones.
of like you're.
I love
taking
that deck.
anything you
Okay.
want to take.
Yeah, I love that deck. You remember? I used to play
I
the
do.
SS3 with all that stuff in there. That was like my favorite deck until you flip black energy and then you cry.
Yeah.
But
But no, this card's broken and I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah. this
It's a
card's-
great card.
super sick. All right. I think this is the last one. Shenron, Unison of Rescue. The only black one on the list that's coming from the actual set. So it's a no specified cost because you can pay anything for it. 10K, permanent. This card can't attack. And if you would lose a marker from an attack, you may place one card from your life in your drop area instead. That's cool. Plus one marker. You may choose one of your skillless battle cards. If you do, that card gains double strike for the turn, then draw one card. Oh, wow. Hello, Kidku.
Yeah.
Plus 0 markers. If you have no skillless battle cards in play, play one skillless battle cards with an energy cost of 2 from your drop area. Hello, Kidku.
Yeah, read the last
And
one.
negative 7 markers. I think that's the biggest one. Biggest
so.
biggest negative.
Yeah.
Think
All
so.
right, so this one's going to take a while to get there. But it can't. Does it attack? Can you
No,
attack
you
with this
can't
guy?
attack. Not with him.
That's part of his permanent. You can't.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you can't really get rid of them. All right, so negative 10 marker or negative 7 markers.
No, you can get rid of him. He can't attack.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
opponent can attack it. But you can take life
Oh.
you can take life to protect it,
Okay, cool.
which is good.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier in the how-to. Negative 7 markers. Play all skillless battle cards from your drop area. What?
What? So, like, in testing, I ended up getting, I did that, and I -7, and I played, I think, like 8 battle cards or something
Oh,
like
that's
that.
so
It felt
good.
so good. That's why I was, that's kind of
How many of those are 30Ks?
Oh, like 5 or something.
I mean, this is
Six.
it's a super fun card, for sure. How competitively relevant do you think that is?
I think if Kidku ever becomes relevant, that this
Yeah.
is going to be
Super solid.
And I don't
Yeah.
think Kidku will be the last like skillless deck we ever see.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
because skillless card, there's so many skillless cards. Like there's gonna be more decks that come out that support it.
Yep.
Mhm.
But this is obviously Kidku's like the number one thing that this obviously fits into at first, just because Kidku is all about like incremental like free vantage. You know, with your balls and your
Mhm.
leader ability, you just get so much draw. and this card just says I get to like keep recurring stuff from drop, and my opponent can't really get rid of it early because if they attack it, I'm going to take a life, and I want you to at least hit me twice, right?
Yeah.
Like early on, that's Kiku's biggest thing is awakening, and so they can't get rid of this thing without awakening you.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it does a lot of things that Kiku wants it to do.
Yeah. So they can't just like starve you by not attacking you anymore, because you can just put this out here, keep drawing, keep getting your 4-star ball extra bonus, and seems good to me, man.
I mean, it does pretty much everything you want Kid Cool could want. That's one thing about this card is it does everything. So I really like this card too. So,
So good.
This. My pet deck.
All right. So that's all the cards they sent us. But I don't know. I think Unison's really cool, just in general. I think it's a great twist to the game. I think it's going to change the way people build decks in a big way, and kind of the way the game plays. Kind of similar to what like Overwhelm did with the game. You got to watch out for stuff and be thinking more about kind of what's in different places, and they're going to set up different lines, and it just makes everything a little more flexible. And the fact that they're so generic, for the most, there's a couple of them that are tied to Leers, but most of them are like, played in any blue deck, played in any kind of this color, and it's going to provide pretty good value. So
besides like different leaders, like I would say that this might almost be like the biggest change in like mechanics, as prominent as Unisons are. Like I think Unisons are just so prominent, like they're in every deck, and like almost every deck like revolves around Unisons now. But I like it. Like obviously there's some decks like Vegeta are just like ridiculously fast right now, but the Unisons, like a lot of the other decks are a lot more like mid-rangey, you know, like games last a little longer, depending on like, obviously if you're playing against Vegeta, it's probably gonna go by pretty quick.
yeah, but aggro's aggro, so what are you gonna do,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it wants to do.
We always have one.
Yeah.
But like I really like the way the Unisons work with leaders, and they just add like cool little themes to different leaders, you know.
It's pretty cool.
I'm super excited, and I'm super excited to build new decks, see new things, more interactions. I'm super excited about all that.
All right, cool. So once again, we'd like to thank Bandai for sending us an early sneak peek of this, and hopefully this was helpful for you guys, and we look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. You know, leave us a like, subscribe, comment what you're excited for in the Unison stuff, and I don't know if there's any deck profiles you want to see. Maybe Russell will brew one up for you.
Maybe.
I don't know. I know he's got a lot going on over there, but we haven't really talked that much recently, so I don't know. I don't know what his secrets are.
Yeah.
Alex, I know, has been playing a lot of online tournaments too, so
A little bit.
a little bit of online.
A little bit.
He's probably got some secrets brewing.
Also, shout out to Bandai for sending us the cards.
Yeah,
I don't know if
big shout out.
That's pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is
They love the community, dude. Guaranteed.
so like sending us those just so we could show off to you guys, I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty cool milestone for the channel. It's just like it's a first that we've actually gotten to like work with Bandai. Also shout out to Bandai for supporting online tournaments. They announced that, you know, they're adding prizing to 3 online tournaments coming up for the new set, which is awesome.
Super cool.
Because, you know, right now, because of all of the quarantine going on, we don't really get to go and fly out to tournaments like we used to. So being able to like, you know, test with the cards that we're going to be buying, and then, you know, play online and actually get like value out of them is huge for the community. And
Keeps
I hope
it alive.
Yeah, I hope Bandai continues to do this, because that's a good job. by
Oh, yeah, I
them.
was going to say we're in unprecedented times and all that kind of stuff, and it's really cool that they're going out of their way to really try to support the players and do new things, and I'm super excited about it. So
Cool. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
We up out of here.